in 2020, during the COVID pandemic, I made a short film and I started putting together some behind the scenes videos to accompany it, but I never completed the videos. So this is one of a series of those videos, and without giving away spoilers, the short film is set within the universe of my feature film Melanie's Grave, although it's not a sequel or a prequel. Currently, as we stand, I've cancelled all the film projects that I was going to do this year. So it's May now. I was going to do a short film next month. I was going to do I think it was a 7-part kind of mini series in August. So I've announced to the actors that I did have on board for that I was going to cancel that. Hopefully we can pick up those next year once this pandemic's over, fingers crossed. What I decided to do was to try and shoot a film myself at home during the lockdown period, so I didn't want to waste the time. So I've got limited resources, so there's just me. So what I decided to do was shoot a film with my iPhone. Now, for the last few weeks I've been trying to figure out a storyline, a script that I can actually shoot with just me as the actor in it. And I wanted to do a feature film, and I've just been trying to rack my brains how to kind of come up with a feasible way of making a feature film. And I started writing several scripts, and kept kind of discarding all the ideas because they were too ambitious. And I'm not kind of an actor, so I didn't want to be kind of having too much dialogue and all these kind of scenarios. So anyway, I've settled on the idea of doing a short film eventually. So I've got the script now. It's approximately 13 pages long, so that should equate to about 13 minutes of screen time. It's a kind of post-apocalyptic kind of film, so it's set after the pandemic, and as far as my character is aware, he's the only person left in the entire world. But it's not really about that. It's about this guy who is effectively lost a lot of his memory, so he can't really remember who he was prior to the pandemic. And one of the big ideas that I wanted to do for this project, and all the previous kind of ideas that I had, was to incorporate a lot of footage that I already had, that existed already. So stuff from my older films. I did want to include stuff from home movies that I've got. So I've got loads of home movies from when my kids were a lot younger. So we're going back to the 90s, and then I've got some old 8mm film which I was looking at getting transferred to digital, and that's got me and my siblings when we were children as well on there. And it's also got my parents, got my parents' marriage on there. It's got my grandparents who are no longer alive on there. So I wanted to try and include all that kind of footage, and I've got footage from other sources as well. So I was trying to think of a way, how do I incorporate all of this into the film? So I've looked at some of the footage that I've got from older kind of short films that I've made. Some of them are 4x3 format, which doesn't really fit in with what I want to do. I'd have to kind of blow them up, and they're not the best quality. A lot of the old films that I've got are really just, I've only got them on DVD, and the original brushes doesn't exist anymore on some of them. So what I decided to do was just use footage from 2 films, the most recent films that I've shot, which would be The Tree Witch, which I finished earlier this year. I'm not going to use a great amount from that, and then I'm going to use, the majority of it is from my feature film, which is still in post-production, and that's called Melanie's Grave. And because I was actually an actor in that film. I've got footage of myself kind of acting. So what I wanted to do was use that footage as flashback material. So this is kind of me previous to the pandemic kind of thing. And I'm kind of using some of the kind of more gritty, violent elements of the film as kind of his kind of fractured memory. So he thinks that this was kind of what his life was prior to that. So in the film, in Melanie's Grave, I played the father of the main character in the flashback sequences. So I had a wife and a young daughter, and it was an abusive kind of relationship. So I'm kind of seeing all of that, little bits of like kind of flashbacks of all that kind of stuff going on. So it works really well on paper. He thinks he's done all of these kind of bad things in his life, so he's wrestling with that, but he can't remember. And it all kind of takes place within one couple of locations. Most of it is going to be shot in my car. A lot of it's going to be shot in my car, and then I'm going to use the original location that we used for Melanie's Grave. I've got access to that house basically, so I can kind of go in there and shoot some stuff with me in there where we shot the scenes for Melanie's Grave, so that'll kind of tie in very nicely. So you may have noticed that I am sporting a different look at the moment. So I've grown this beard during the last few weeks of lockdown, and I wanted the character in this film that I'm going to shoot to kind of look as if he's let himself go a little bit. So obviously, you know, this is going to fit nicely with that, and also it'll be a completely different look to the flashback material that I want to use of myself. So we kind of, you know, it'll give that more of an impression of like, you know, a lot of time has passed basically. So that's the reason. So the film, for want of a better title, is called After the End Credits. Whether it remains that title, I don't know. I think the next stage, what I'm going to do is I'm going to do the storyboard. I'm going to go through the script again, and then I need to storyboard it. So I'll probably show you that. I'll try and show you as much as I can the process that I'm going to be doing for this short film. I'm going to be doing a lot of shortcuts, to be honest, because I'm not going to go into a massive amount of detail that in prep that I would normally do for another film. I mean, it's just me, so a lot of it's going to be in my head. I will be making notes and you know, kind of a short list as such. Obviously, I'm not going to do like a massive schedule. I think I can shoot this over the course of maybe 4 days. Just taking my time.
Scene 10, scene 26, shot 3, take 1.
You top your team.
Just want to see what you're doing.
You top your team.
And set.
Action. Reset.
If you want to see more videos when they arrive, please hit the subscribe button below this video, and I'll see you soon.